Hi guys, this is Shivadi. In this session, I'm going to explain how we can integrate REST APIs in Angular application. Let's go ahead and start. Now to integrate REST APIs with Angular, we have to use the HTTP client module, which Angular is going to provide us. By using this HTTP client module, we can make HTTP requests to the server REST APIs. So this module allow developer to perform the different operations like create, read, update, delete against the REST API in the backend services. So in order to integrate the Angular with REST APIs, there are mainly four steps. The first one is we are going to import the HTTP client module in the app.module.ts, and the second one is we have to create the service class. In that service class, act as a encapsulate to encapsulate the HTTP request to the REST API calls, and this service class will contain the methods for interacting with the server using the HTTP client library. And also here we are going to use the different HTTP methods based on our requirement. We are going to call these HTTP methods of HTTP client library in the service class. And finally, we are going to inject this service class into the our component class. From component, we are going to bind all these properties, whatever it is required for the HTML template. So this is the high level flow. Let's go ahead and see with an example. The first step is we have to go to the app.module.ts file. Here we have to import the HTTP client module. The second step is we have to create the service class. So here I created the service class name as a data service. In this we have the server URL. So this is the server URL where the response we are going to get from the server. So in this particular server URL, we have implemented the Spring Boot REST APIs for different operations like read, create, update, and delete. So by using this HTTP client class object, we can say HTTP client instance, we can able to make a call to the HTTP server to perform the desired operation like get, post, put, delete. Okay, so this is the all about the data service. In the data service, we are going to provide the server URL where the REST API implementation is there, where you can make a calls to the server. And then in the constructor, we are going to create the instance for HTTP client class. By using this HTTP client instance, we can perform the all the CRUD operations like get, post, put, and delete. Once we implemented the service class, the next step is we have to create our own component class where we want to render this particular component behavior to the HTML template. So here REST CRUD component is where we are going to use to perform all the CRUD operations. If you see here in the constructor, we injected the data service. By using this data service, we can able to make all the uh, method calls, whatever you define in the service class. So here on the ng on it is the Angular lifecycle method. Here we are fetching the data. So whenever this particular component is getting loaded, it will fetch the data from the server, and then it is going to be map that particular data to this data property we defined in this particular component. Similarly, we have different methods for create data, update data, and delete data. The difference here is create and update, we have to pass the request body so that the server can basically create the new object or new resource on the server. Whereas in the case of update, You have to pass the ID, whatever it is already existing, and based on this, it is going to update the existing resource on the server. For deleting the data on the server, we have to pass the unique ID, which ID we have to delete or which resource you want to delete. So here I focus mainly on the fetching part because other things you can get whenever you get some time you can basically go ahead and implement. But my intention is to show practically what are the different steps involved to integrate the REST APIs with Angular application. So once my component is ready, then we have to see the HTML template, how we are going to bind. So if you see here, once you make a call to the server using this fetch data, it is going to get the response from the server and assign that particular data here, the property data. Now we are using the ng for um, directive to iterate over this particular collection, and it is going to print the result.id and title. So for each product we have the ID and title that it is going to display on the screen. Okay, let's go ahead and run this particular application and see what is the output. So if you see here, Angular REST API integration, here we have two products. One is iPhone 9, another one is iPhone X. So this is how you can integrate REST API using the Angular application. So to summarize what we have done, in order to integrate with the REST APIs, we need to import the HTTP client module in the app.module.ts, and then you have to create a service class. In that service class, you have to wrap all the HTTP related methods, how you want to interact with your server API calls, and then based on your requirement, you are going to have the different methods, get, post, put, and delete. And finally, you are going to inject that particular service class into your component. And in the HTML template, you have to define on what basis you have to render this particular data, or you want to create or update or delete or fetch the server from the server, on what format you want to get the responses. Okay, so that's how you are going to integrate the REST APIs in Angular. Thanks for watching.